Coming up on Network Africa, Nigeria and China elevate bilateral ties to comprehensive strategic partnership. Nigerians continue to lament the impact of fuel price hikes. Plus, medics from the Democratic Republic of Congo say they're dealing with an overwhelming influx of Mpox patients. Hello and welcome to the program today. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Layo Olarinde. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu says Africa holds vast opportunities for investment, growth, and development, productive economy, and natural resources. Well, he was speaking at a bilateral meeting with Chinese Premier Li Qiang in Beijing, China. President Tinubu commended the role of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in advancing partnership between Africa and China for mutual development and prosperity. Well, earlier on, President Tinubu and Chinese President Xi Jinping met, announcing the elevation of Nigeria-China ties and of a comprehensive strategic partnership. Our State House correspondent Larry Lasisi reports that the leaders also agreed to build a high-level Nigeria-China community with a shared future.
Arriving for his official state visit at the Northern Hall of the Great Hall of the People, President Bola Tinubu is welcomed by his counterpart, President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China. He's accompanied by some ministers and state governors. President Tinubu inspects a guard of honor. Following the ceremony, the two presidents sit down with their delegations for bilateral discussions. President Jinping said China and Nigeria, as major developing countries, strengthening strategic coordination will inject fresh impetus to the China-Africa relations.
I thank you for
In his contribution, President Tinubu outlined Nigeria's readiness and commitment to economic development.
And I agree with you that China-Nigeria relations that is over half a century should further strengthen our trade and economic development program. Nigeria has a very great potential as largest population in Africa.
It is then time for the signing of 5 memoranda of understanding by officials of both countries as the two presidents observe the proceeding. For the Nigerian delegation, this event is highly beneficial.
Specific agreements were signed, memorandum of understanding. 5 are all development related. 4 of them were were signed on behalf of the Chinese government by the National Reform and Development, the National Development and Reform Commission of China, and I also signed on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We expect more to be signed, albeit not in front of the two leaders. There are agreements on shelled peanuts, so the groundnut that is still in the shell for export. Phytosanitary is supposed to be signing that. Already 2 state governors, Lagos and Kaduna, have signed agreements.
President Tinubu is billed to participate in the 2024 summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, commencing from Wednesday, September the 4th, 2024 in Beijing. Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Well, Nigeria has also expressed its readiness to strengthen relations with Indonesia. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohamed Idris stated this in Bali, the capital of Indonesia, where he represented President Bola Tinubu at the second Indonesia-Africa Forum. Mr. Idris highlights the untapped economic potential and avenues for cooperation between both countries. The minister adds that Nigeria is committed to fostering a stronger partnership with Indonesia to achieve mutual economic growth and prosperity.
The forum, therefore, presents the platform for heads of state, government officials, business leaders, and stakeholders across our regions to not only discuss economic cooperation, but to also address common global challenges and explore avenues for the implementation of mutual sustainable growth and development. Nigeria's leadership position in Africa is also focused on tech ecosystem and has continued to drive innovation and digital orientation aimed at providing an enabling environment that will foster entrepreneurship and contribute to the continent's economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my fervent hope that discussions at this forum will focus on critical issues such as economic transformation, energy and mining, food and health security, and the digital economy. These are the pillars upon which our future cooperation will be sustained, and by leveraging our shared strengths and resources, we can drive an inclusive and sustainable economic growth that is beneficial to our various countries.
Let's discuss bilateral relations with Nigeria and the world further. Joining us now is Associate Professor F.M. Ubi. He's the Acting Director, Research and Studies at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. He's also an expert on China-Africa relations. Thank you so much, sir, for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me on your program too.
Well, Nigeria and China, the Chinese leader, President Bola Tinubu and President Xi Jinping, they've met, and signed several MOUs committing to a comprehensive strategic partnership between both countries. How beneficial is this to Nigeria?
I think it's, I'd like to say it is actually very beneficial. As a matter of fact, you have to understand that interstate relations is beneficial. And in that sense, the whole idea of foreign policy is to have access to resources that you don't have at all in your state, or you don't have enough. And so there's a prospect with regards to this meeting, the state visit that the president made to China. Because as you see, a lot of memorandum of understanding was signed. And not only that, the relationship has moved from just the strategic partnership that was signed in 2006 to now a new form of partnership, which is called a comprehensive strategic partnership. And first of all, we must understand, when you use the word comprehensive strategic partnership, you're actually saying that the partnership now is holistic. So a lot of issue areas and sectors that were not covered at the initial stage will be covered. Take, for instance, when the strategic partnership was signed, issues of climate change was not there. Discourses of modernization wasn't really there. So this time it's going to take other areas into consideration. And so I think if we are able, as a country, to maximize that comprehensive strategic partnership, there is the hope that we might also benefit. But the benefit must have to come from how we negotiate and what we negotiate for.
Well, presently, Nigerians are lamenting the recent hike in fuel prices. Now, with the president on this trip, how can this, and I mean the agreements and deals that have been made, how can this impact the average Nigerian, helping their economical situation?
Well, one area that stands out clearly in FOCAC, or the FOCAC plan of action, right from 2006 up to this present 9th FOCAC, I'm sure it's going to come up again, is consistent, is the fact that the there's an agreement on the transfer of technology. Right now, what we need is industrialization. What we need is technology. And what we need is modernization. And above all, to have access and to be able to upgrade and build our productive infrastructure. So I think this trip that the president has made and the state visits to China, as well as the meeting, the FOCAC meeting, the summit that is attending, will drag a lot of investment into Nigeria. I know when foreign investments come in, it will create room for employment. So a lot of our youth and graduates will be employed. Aside that, another area that I feel this can also inject some succor to the country is in the area of agriculture. And these are areas that has featured prominently in our president's speeches and reforms. So I think irrespective of what we are going on, what is going on with regards to the economic downturn that we are facing, I think the president, who I like, anytime he travels out, he's always talking about, in marketing Nigeria. You find out the president is always telling you, we're ready for business. We want all of you to come and invest in Nigeria. In fact, in this meeting he had, with the premier, he talked about tariff and taxes, wave for investors. And so this is in a way, will attract a lot of investors into the country. So I think there is prospect, in terms of bringing solace to the Nigerian citizens.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Associate Professor and Acting Director, Research and Development Studies at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Dr. F.M. Ubi. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're still on Nigeria. The hike in the price of premium motor spirit by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is generating reactions from many Nigerians. In the FCT, residents lament the increase coupled with the already hard economic situation in the country. Our correspondent, Kumbi Aboluwade, reports.
Residents in the nation's capital woke up to a change in the price of premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The new pump price is not sitting right with these residents as they express their grievances.
Before my tank, I normally fill it at 65,000, but now I bought it at the rate of 85,000 naira. The price is high. I have to tighten my belt to see how can I couple with this station, because it's not been easy, honestly. For me, I don't know how we are going to do.
For NNPC to be 897, you should be expecting other filling stations to hike their price to 1,000 plus. So the way it's going now, what are we going to do about it? Salary is not increased, even though I'm retired. If I follow what is going on now, what I get for my retirement benefit cannot even buy fuel inside the car.
On August 1st, 2024, the NNPCL hinted that it is in a $6.8 billion debt and would not be able to continue selling at a subsidized price of 617 naira. As a new pump price has been set in NNPC stations across the country, FCT residents are appealing to the federal government to take a deeper look into the situation to cushion the sufferings.
It will affect me. I have children that I feed. I pay their transport to go to school. School about to start next Monday. I normally spend every week their transport 7,000 naira. Definitely it may increase to 10,000 or 12,000 naira. And I'm under the taxi driver. Where will I afford that money? Each meal, a family of 5 or 6, each meal consume up to 7,000 naira as a small man. Now times it by 3. Can taxi man cover up to 15,000 naira in a day? After fuel?
The NNPC Limited is hoping that the Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream sometime this month, alongside the production from other private refineries. Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
Let's take a break now on the program. Still ahead. Ugandan opposition leader Bobby Wine injured during a clash with police. We'll give you more details after. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. We continue in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Well, health workers in one of the hardest hit regions by Mpox say they are overwhelmed by the influx of patients. Officials at the Kavumu Health Center describe the situation as dire, receiving an average of 30 patients per day, with the numbers rapidly increasing. The facility, which has been set up temporary tents to accommodate the growing number of patients, is also struggling to cope with the demand. Well, inside the tents, families sit on the ground as health workers, clad in personal protective equipment, examine those showing symptoms of Mpox. That's the viral disease characterized by fever, rash, and in severe cases, death. The rapid spread of the disease has prompted the country's health authorities to collaborate with the Health Division of Epidemiological Surveillance to contain the outbreak. Over in Uganda, opposition leader Bobi Wine has been injured in the leg in a confrontation with a policeman, but his party say that he is recovering in hospital. The National Unity Platform said the pop star turned politician had been hit by a tear gas canister. Well, initially it was thought that his wound was caused by a bullet. The incident occurred while the NUP leader was on his way to visit his lawyers in Bulindo, north of the capital, Kampala. Footage shared online show the 42-year-old leader being helped from a building with a bleeding injury on his left shin. Medical experts at the Nsambia Hospital in Kampala say that the leader is due to undergo surgery to remove the fragments. Let's get more on this now. Joining us is Halima Atumani, the VOA's reporter in Kampala. Hello, Halima. Good to see you. Thank you so much for your time.
Good to see you, Naomi. Thank you for having me.
Yes. What do we know at this time, of Bobi Wine's condition?
So when I was speaking to the lawyer who actually Bobi Wine went to visit yesterday before the altercation happened, he tells me that Bobi Wine is out of danger. The surgery has taken place. He's actually now recovering from home. He's supposed to be going back for a review in about 2 days, but so far he's in stable condition. And Naomi, I know they said there was an altercation. We are yet to find out what the other details are, but from what I got from George, John says, he called, Bobi Wine went to visit him, and it was a private visit, right? So after the meeting, which lasted about 2 hours, the police even called him before Bobi Wine arrived and said, hey, we understand Bobi Wine is coming to your home. And he said, yes, he's coming. Not even my neighbors are aware of it. It's very private. So after the meeting, he leaves, and then 300 meters away from George's home, which area was now connected to the main road, police had set up a roadblock or a blockade, causing crowds and heavy traffic.
So just like you've mentioned, and we understand this is as a result of a clash between Bobi Wine and a policeman. Do give us more details on that.
First I have to confess I was not there. This happened much later in the evening. But from what I have gathered, is that according to the police, now I'm going to give you two different versions. According to the police says Bobi Wine got out of the car and started attracting crowds, and it was because of this that the police came and started throwing tear gas. And according to the police, the onlookers or the crowds that Bobi Wine had attracted started throwing stones at the police, and also I think damaged two windscreens of two different police vehicles. Now, according to the National Unity Party platform lawyer, he says when Bobi Wine left his house, he got into the car. When they reached the blockade, onlookers had gathered. It was roughly about a crowd of about 20 people. And I think because of panic, the police all of a sudden started beating people, and in this case, Bobi Wine was told the driver stop. So he gets out of his car, and then he goes to actually seek audience with the commander who was in charge and says, hey, why are you beating people? So it was in that moment that the police then just started shooting the tear gas randomly, and one of the canisters, its fragments, I think once it burst out, it then hit Bobi Wine's leg, and that's how he ends up with an injury.
Well, you know, the Bobby Wine's party now claims that this was an attempt on his life. Perhaps will there be an investigation into this?
The police has said they are not, by last evening, what made people, sneer at this whole event, first of all, was the fact that the police's first statement and first words were, Bobby Wine had stumbled as he walked into his car, right? And so that made people question. But today the police, they said yes, while the police officers at the scene told us that Bobby Wine had stumbled, but we are not going to listen to, or he stumbled, or he was injured by a bullet, or a tear gas canister. We are going to investigate, and we also need medical reports. So far, the NUP says the first medical reports show, yes, there were fragments in his foot, and actually, while everyone is questioning the size of the wound, they say, compared to a bullet, that wound is very small. I think, according to the police, the medical reports so far got is that there are fragments that hit his foot, and then I think they dug deep into the bone. And that's why he was feeling a lot more pain, but also the wound was not that open for people to, say, oh, yes, this was a bullet. So the police says they are going to investigate. So we wait and see if this investigation will actually give us more details about what happened.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Halima Atumani, VOA Uganda correspondent. Well, we wrap up here in Lagos State. The government is reaffirming its dedication to enhancing economic opportunities for women entrepreneurs through the implementation of the gender-responsive procurement policy. Now, the GRP policy is designed to increase the participation of women in state government contracts, addressing the current disparity in public procurement access between men and women.
Lagos fact sheets show that gender analysis of women's participation in public procurement is low compared to men. Contracts awarded to women stand at 20%, while men receive 80% contracts. In closing the gender parity gap, the Lagos State government, through the Office of Public Procurement Agency, in conjunction with UN Women, are here at Alausa Ikeja for a media forum on affirmative public procurement that will facilitate increased participation of women to state government contracts through the implementation of gender-responsive policy.
The gender-responsive policy that we are discussing today is not just a document. It is a pioneering effort to correct the long-standing imbalances that have marginalized women entrepreneurs from accessing public procurement opportunities. Far too long, women-owned businesses and women-led cooperatives have faced significant challenges, ranging from limited access to finance and information to capacity constraint. These have prevented them from participating fully in our economic activities. This policy is our commitment to dismantling those barriers and creating a more equitable and inclusive procurement environment through capacity building programs, financial incentives, educational resources, and mentorship opportunities.
Representative of UN Women says they will continue to work with the state government to empower women in different fields.
4 things that we do. Number one, like as I mentioned, is economic empowerment. We're investing in economic empowerment of women in Nigeria, in the south and north. Our focus is to make sure women have more access to resources. And the PPA in Lagos helping us to make sure they have more access within the public and private procurement sector. Secondly, one thing we do is to work with the government of Nigeria and the cultural system that we have to curb the prevalence of violence against women and girls.
We want to obtain the executive order for the GRP. This is a critical component of this policy documents. This will mandate all ministries, departments, and agencies to prioritize women-owned, women-led business in Lagos State.
The State Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, who is also part of the conversation, says the initiative is a vital step towards bridging the gap for government contract opportunities.
For all the women here, you are in a better state now to come forward and bid for contracts in government. Don't be afraid of those men with all the the money, all the connection. You have a government, you have an agency that will handhold you and will make sure that they support you, that you will fully be empowered.
The implementation of the gender-responsive procurement policy will no doubt go a long way towards addressing all loopholes that prevent women from having access to state government contracts.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.